The afterlife is just another way of you reliving a new life. Like if you die, you get reincarnated into somebody else. You know, that's why a lot of times when babies are born, they're crying because they know what happened in their past life. So the afterlife is nothing to be afraid of. You know, we all live, we all die, eventually. So what I think about it is, in my opinion, it's nothing to be afraid of. It's just another gateway to regain yourself, you know, look upon the things that you've done and the result of it. So that's what I think about the afterlife.
Sure.
It's just another way of looking at things from a different perspective, in a different way.
Yeah, so in terms of like, so reincarnation, is there anyone like in your belief system that started it all or facilitates it? Like when you choose to go, or like what you come back as? Like, is there like a higher power in charge?
Well, I'm gonna be honest. I'm not really a big believer of the guy upstairs, you know, the big man upstairs. But I do talk to him every now and then. And, you know, this is like all the things that are happening are just signs of like, okay, like the fact that you're chosen to live this life, it's up to you whether to fulfill it or just to watch it go by. Because if you live a happy, healthy life, you know, you have a job, you know, you have a family of your own, that's basically him saying that, you know, you have much more to live for. I would say would be you know, because you make the decisions whether or not you should live it to the fullest or just kind of blow it away.
Yeah. So like, in terms of like your decisions of like blowing it versus like making it, like, is that up to the individual to decide, or is there something like objective, like meaning like, you know, if you murdered someone, that's always going to be wrong, regardless of whether or not you think it's right.
Right.
Like, is there like a standard that, is it up to the individual, or is it up to this
It is totally up to the individual.
That makes sense. In terms of like, say, you know, if someone did something that wronged you, if it's up to the individuals, like how can you actually account for saying, hey, that was wrong, like someone stole from you, right? Like, hey, that was wrong, you shouldn't do that. If it's up to the individual solely, doesn't that mean like you can't necessarily say that? Because if they think it's right and you think it's wrong, who cares ultimately?
Right, because all right, like there's a couple incidents that I got into where that actually fits in. So before I moved up here, I used to live in Vegas. There was many times where things got stolen from me, and like people would get nuts. Like my family members would get crazy. But I just told them it's fine. Like I work, you know, I pay it off. I can replace it. But then everybody's always like, yeah, but he stole it from you. That's wrong. It's not wrong.
Can I raise the stakes just a little bit? If you have a child,
right,
and there's somebody who does awful things to your child,
right,
how do you tell that person that they're wrong?
Well, wow, that's a good one. Because I have a daughter.
The stakes
Yeah, I have a daughter too. She's 6 months old.
Yeah.
So I know how that goes, because there was an incident where that actually did happen. So coming from my case, if someone was to hurt my daughter, which they did, I would be mad. I would be really, really mad. And I would take it into, I would take an action that shouldn't be taken into, or in that fashion. But I wouldn't approach it in a violent way. Collect myself again, just calm down, and then I'll just tell them, you know, hey, whatever you did, I'm not gonna do anything about it, but I'll let the authorities take care of it, and which they did.
Which they should.
Yeah, they did. So how I approach situations like that is just simply, you know, let it happen. If it all goes worse, then eventually I'll step in and do something about it.
Okay. Yeah, because you believe it's wrong.
Yeah, I believe it's wrong. Other people may think that, oh, it's just disciplinary action. It's not disciplinary action. It's just you being the idiot you are, thinking that it is okay, but this is a child. So
there's something significant about that child.
yes,
Like, that is objective. It's not just up to anyone, because they're defenseless. They're innocent.
right.
Yeah.
So in my defense, whether it be right or wrong, I just look at it as a lesson, more like the guy who hurt my daughter. He's in prison right now, and he's regaining himself, or I think he is. But for that situation in particular, I did, pardon the language, but I did kick, and I backed up.
Yeah.
Because I knew where it was gonna go, and it was wrong already. Because instead of letting the authorities take care of it, now I'm getting into the mix.
Yeah, there's something in you that just rose up, and you
Yeah.
you were like, hey man, like, justice needs to take place, and so maybe it was the wrong way to take place, right? Like,
Right. It was.
but you needed justice to happen. It sounds like, at least to me. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I agree. Like we're built to know right and wrong. You were born
Yeah, I
and
agree.
grown from a child to know that it's wrong to kill your mother. It's wrong to hurt your siblings in any way, shape, or form.
So you said we're built. So that implies intentionality and like creation, right? Okay. I would say, amidst the conversation, I forgot your name. What's your name?
Josh.
Josh. So Josh, I would say that everybody does know to some degree, right? Some people are more, you could say, callous or harder than
Right.
others, right? They've lived,
A hard life,
this way for so long that now it doesn't hurt them as much as it once did. But
Right.
everybody kind of knows, like, what I'm doing is wrong. I'm stealing this. It's wrong. I'm lying to somebody. It's wrong. I'm, hurting somebody or cheating on my wife. That's wrong.
Right.
So.
Hi, baby.
That's my
Oh, no.
fiance.
Awesome.
Yeah. Hey.
So
But
Shooting an interview with your Josh here, Leilani.
Hi.
Nice. Oh, are you DJ's wife?
Yeah.
Nice. We talked to DJ over there too.
yeah.
What are you guys interviewing for?
Just thoughts about the afterlife. Yeah.
I'm hoping that it's really good because I'm about to kill myself. So
Or you guys,
I
right?
have something to say. So
Yeah.
in the religion that I grew up with Christianity, and then I found Buddhism. The afterlife is a time of reflection, a time of like seeing what you need to learn, how you need to, what you need to learn in your next life. If you don't get reincarnated, it's because you're moving to a higher form of yourself, and your consciousness is moving forward until it reaches the cosmos.
Now,
Okay.
Leilani, you say Buddhism, but I see you're wearing a cross.
Because I was raised.
When you were raised. Okay,
Yeah.
so it's just kind of to
Commemorate.
pay homage to it. And Josh, I noticed you're wearing crosses from your ear.
yeah, I'm a high believer in Christianity, but like everybody else, they say that God lives in church, but I really do think that God just lives in our essence.
Like
You know,
everybody,
we're built into that.
everybody says you got to go to church to be a believer, but in all honesty, if you're a believer, God is everywhere, or whatever you believe in is everywhere. You don't have to be in one specific place to be a believer of what you believe in. And I grew up with not just Christianity, but I grew up with Catholic because my great grandma, I should say, converted from being Catholic to Christianity. And I grew up knowing that as long as you are a believer, then it doesn't matter where you are.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Yeah, that was that's like Christianity. I mean, that's not a version of Christianity I've ever
yeah.
heard.
No.
So I'm a Christian.
Yeah,
Like, so
so am I.
we have conversations constantly
Yeah.
with people everywhere of every different belief system.
Yeah.
And so Josh, what you were saying was really telling to me. That's why I was like, man, can I give you just my take on what you were saying? Because you were saying is like morality is all up to us. It's up to our individual to boost ourselves up. And what I would say is that voids you, and I know you would disagree with this, and I'll give you my reason why. But that voids you if you're consistent of any purpose or meaning in this life at all, besides of what you make it, which is arbitrary. Because if someone just disagrees with you, or if you have a bad day, then your real purpose is down the toilet. And I don't think that's true at all.
Yeah.
See, what Christianity actually says is that we're made in the image of God. That's what separates us from the animals. That's why we have a conscience. we have some perception of right and wrong. Now, it's swayed. It's changed a lot by cultures, like cannibalism,
Yeah.
like
Oh,
is a real
God.
virus. Like that's a real thing.
Yeah.
However, it's still a crime. There's still a morality there. Like you can't eat the chief. Like there's a law there, right?
Yeah.
And so we can understand those things. But because we're made in the image of God, we have a conscience. It tells us something about the Creator. It says that there's something outside of ourselves that our conscience is actually appealing to.
Yeah.
The reason we have a conscience is actually reflective of who made us. Kind of like, he said in our image, it's like all of the animals kind of, have noses, eyes, everything kind of looks similar. It's telling of a similar maker, a similar creator, like one creator. And so when we're created in his image, that grounds us in terms of purpose and meaning in your life, the pain you feel, the cry out for justice. You were talking about your daughter, like the cry out for justice, that actually is outside of yourself. It's not just arbitrary. It's not, it's whatever I feel. There's actually something standing there and saying, yes, you deserve justice. Everyone deserves justice. We deserve, we need goodness to come down. However, what Christianity, if you guys it sounds like you're all familiar with Christianity, but what Christianity says is our main issue is that we're all not going to do well if someone gives us justice. God is described as holy, meaning separate, not in the church, but holy meaning separate and perfect, meaning that if whatever moral law we give ourselves, he's the perfect of that. Don't lie, don't cheat, don't steal. Jesus said if you look at a person and lust after them, you commit adultery in your heart. He said if you, you murder by hating your brother, Jesus just raised the stakes. And so I'm like, gosh, if there is justice, if there is goodness at the end of our life, no one stands justified. No one stands good.
Okay,
So
that being said, I have read the Bible, I've went to Bible study and stuff like that. I don't remember most of it, but you're saying of the Ten Commandments and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But most of the Bible and Adam and Eve and Cain and Abel, they've all committed those things.
Right.
So what's the end game? We can do good and bad, but we'd still end up in the same place 6 feet under, but we don't know what our conscience is going to feel after that.
Yeah, and that's the dilemma, right? It's all the same. David, the Bible says he's a man after God's own heart. He wrote tons of songs in the Bible. In the middle, there's a giant section. And he murdered, he committed egregious sexual sin, slept with Bathsheba, and then murdered her husband to cover it up. And then the Bible says that is a man after God's own heart. And so you're like, what in the world? Where's justice? Yeah. Can you imagine her father-in-law? You just killed my son. You just killed my son, and then God is cool with that. And so
if I die, who ultimately will be the judge, Satan or God?
The creator of the universe. Satan stands completely under control of God. There's nothing outside of God's control.
And Satan himself stands under God's judgment.
Right.
Because either way, I don't believe that we go down for all the, the sins that we commit. I believe that even all the bads.
You don't want justice then. You don't care about justice.
Well,
your creator doesn't love justice. That's what you're telling me.
Well, for me, justice is served either way.
Yeah.
Because also,
this is such a belief system that God is good and stuff like that, and there's good and evil. You guys are talking about justice, but the only people who can, in this life, that can bring justice is the people around us. I feel like we're left to our own devices to learn from our mistakes and stuff like that. We have a cop system, we created a government, we created all of this, and
but then the cops can mess up, right?
Yeah.
The government isn't a good standard of righteousness.
God created us and just said, good luck, hope you have food, water, and shelter, but I'm also going to send out natural disasters, and you have to find out world hunger because you guys are running out of resources. My phone's ringing.
Oh, you're good.
So I have something to say. To me, if you want to see the good in the world, you have to be the good in the world. You have to make that change. You have to be that inspiration to pull yourself through.
Yeah, this guy's way. So are you that good? Are you righteous enough?
I am. I'm also just really trying to be better.
Yeah, that's like a lot of aspirations. So here's what I would say, simply, is that there's a lot of aspirations there. However, we fall short every time.
Yeah.
I don't know if this resonates with you guys, but the harder you try to be good, the more you slip up, you fail.
Yeah, and so
And
that's
then
like what we're going through is every single time we take that one step, no matter if it's little or big, we take that step forward and we just get pulled back. Keep
That
chugging
you
through.
handing me this was like the most offensive thing, and it's not on you guys, it's stuff that I went through. I feel like this was like a little bit offensive to me, but I'd also been to many Buddhist temples and stuff like that, and I've spoken to many monks and stuff like that, and I was like, you know, I'm trying to be a good person, I'm trying to like do unto others as you want others to do unto you.
But we fail.
But my monk said to be selfish until successful, until you have the three things that you need: food, water, and shelter. And then you can't give from an empty fruit basket. So that's the only time that you can be selfish. I feel like I'm trying to be a good person, but it seems like the more that I try, the more like one step forward is like 1,000 steps back.
Yeah.
Because if I help somebody, then all of a sudden I'm behind in something. So I'm trying to be selfish until successful.
I think something that's really interesting, and maybe this is the reason we're talking to you right now, honestly, is that I'm like you said, it was, you know, offensive, and trust me, I was offended by what we do,
Yeah.
one time or another, and what we do in terms of like espousing like what is Christianity. Like the Buddha, right before the first Buddha, it has it said, is that he said keep striving as he died. And that's so opposite of what actually Jesus said. When Jesus died, I don't know if you know, but he said, it is finished.
Yeah.
The work is complete, it's done. And so Christianity doesn't say try better, do better, or keep going. It says we can't do it. And that's deeply offensive to us.
I'm living each day. If I die, I believe I learned what I needed to learn in this lifetime. I believe that the people that I needed to teach what I know as a person who raised herself